calculated mass. The bigger your mass, the more bonuses you are eligible for. This isn't a typical sale of a unique object, nor is it remotely similar to the sale of a limited edition print. This type of sale incents increased buying at every stage of the process and signals a possible shift in how artwork is imagined and sold in the future. In Season 1, Episode 2 of the Showtime series Billions, we see the fictional hedge fund manager Bobby Axelrod make a play to acquire the naming rights of a Carnegie Hall-like performance hall in New York. Bobby has to strong-arm those with interest while also stroking a massive check. But in the end, the hall is renamed after Axelrod, only to later have the name removed after a series of high-profile legal problems. As if lifted directly from an episode of Billions, the Metropolitan Museum of Art this week removed the name of a major donor from one of its wings after the pleading from a number of art world heavyweights. At issue was the Sackler wing of the Met. The Sacklers may not be a household name to most Americans, but many Americans may recognize their family company, Purdue Pharma. If Purdue doesn't ring a bell, then there's no doubt you've probably heard of Purdue's number one moneymaker, OxyContin. Purdue falsely marketed the opioid as not being addictive when it knew that it was. Purdue Pharma boss Richard Sackler was at the center of it all. The nation fell into an opioid crisis while the Sackler family made billions. A bankruptcy judge in September made the questionable judgment to let the family walk with immunity from all future opioid litigation in exchange for a fine of $4.3 billion and forfeiture of the company. That still leaves the family with a net worth of roughly $10 billion, but a tarnished family name. Also in September of this year, big media like Time magazine started asking Met boss Daniel H. Weiss the tough questions about the naming situation with the Sacklers. Fast forward to Thursday, the Met released a statement saying that, quote, 7 named exhibition spaces in the museum, including the wing that houses the iconic Temple of Dendur, will no longer carry the Sackler name. The statement goes on to spin the decision in such a way to make it sound mutual, with allusions to the Sacklers wanting to, quote-unquote, pass the torch to the next great benefactor. But the truth is, the Met has been under increased pressure to do something for years, and the institution couldn't do nothing any longer. Artist Nan Goldin was the first high-profile artist to weigh in. Back in 2018, Goldin and her group Prescription Addiction Intervention Now, PAIN, stormed the Met and staged a sit-in protesting ties to the Sacklers. Over the last 3 years, the list of artists putting their name behind removing the family grew to include Ai Weiwei, Laurie Anderson, Maurizio Cattelan, Jim Dine, Jenny Holzer, Arthur Jaffa, Anish Kapoor, William Kentridge, Cindy Sherman, Bryce Martin, Ed Ruscha, Richard Serra, and Kara Walker, all of whom signed a document formally requesting the removal of the family whose cash cow had twice pled guilty to federal charges of wrongdoing in relation to the opioid crisis. In the end, the Met was facing a public relations crisis, and although it's hard to walk away from significant sources of capital, doing the right thing always seems to pay off in unforeseen ways in the end. If you've ever spent any time working in marketing or design, then you know the reverence for Pantone colors. Pantone has basically made a business out of color matching. Designers can specify a color in a design and trust that the end product matches perfectly because Pantone has invented a language that defines specific colors in the spectrum. Colors can be sold according to these specific numbers, or colors can be mixed to accurately match a given swatch. Pantone is the biggest name in color, and each year they announce their Color of the Year. For 2022, they have chosen a color called Very Perry. To the untrained eye, it might be called purpley. The trained eye might refer to it as a deep periwinkle. According to Pantone, It's a dynamic periwinkle blue hue with a vivifying violet-red undertone. Pantone feels the color reflects a sense of optimism, as well as the burgeoning digital realm. Quote, blending the faithfulness and constancy of blue with the energy and excitement of red, this happiest and warmest of all blue hues introduces an empowering mix of newness. Somewhere I can hear Elvis singing a happier version of Blue Christmas. A very Perry Christmas. That's all the time we have for this week. You've been listening to Art Sense. You can find the show on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. If you've enjoyed this podcast, be sure to subscribe, and while you're there, please rate the show and leave a quick review. Your feedback is the key to other folks finding us. If you'd like to see images related to the conversation, read a transcript, and find other bonus features, you can go to canvia.art and click on the podcast tab. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can email me at craig@canvia.art. Thanks for listening.